Listen, I will do the talking for my guy. So it's up to me to make my case for Pat P to make an all-pro team. He got snubbed weeks ago when the Pro Bowl voting came out, when it was released, didn't even make an alternate team. How's that even possible? How? He didn't even make an alternate team. Like, this man has been balling. And I think because of his age, people feel like, well, he's done it already. He's done this. Man, number one, Pat P is in his early 30s. 32, right, Pat?
Yes, sir.
32. I understand in football years, y'all want to say that's old, especially if there's been a decrease in production. But hey, Tom Brady is 45 and still playing good football. Even though you say he's been struggling offensively, he's still top 4 in the league in total pass yards right now. Pat P's 32, plays some of his best football. Didn't make an alternate list. Is disrespectful. But guess what? The all-pro list is coming up. We have 4 corners that will be selected on the all-pro team in regards to the first team and the second team. So 2 for each team. I think it's safe to say we all would agree rookie phenom Sauce Gardner will make first team. Led the NFL in PBUs as a rookie, 20, played with a defense that's really been stout, consistent, even though we saw some letdowns towards the latter part of the season. In totality, the Jets defense pretty much carried their team. Outside of Sauce, I think you can make a case for Jair Alexander, a defense that definitely turned the corner. You know, after the midway point, 5 interceptions, 14 PBUs, 5 interceptions. Those are the 2 guys that probably will make first team, right? Sauce definitely is making first team. I think it's safe to say. Now, in regards to the second team, that's where Pat P is. That's where his name is. The conversation in regards to second team all-pro corners has to involve our very own Pat P. Now, I hear you guys talking to yourself, thinking to yourself, well, BMac, you're biased. That's your family. That's your cousin. No, I keep it real. Last year, Pat P didn't have an all-pro team. None of us talked about that. This year, he's having an all-pro year. You know why? I have numbers. Jay-Z said it best. Men lie, women lie, but numbers, they never lie. Get this. I will take my time in reading these proven numbers for you guys to understand why I'm making the case for Pat P. Final regular season stats for Patrick Peterson. Overall cornerback grade. And this is coming from PFF, by the way. And we know PFF and Pat P, they bump heads a little bit. And Pat P, I would like to hear your thoughts about this as well. But let me read these numbers off. First and foremost, before you say one word. Word.
I ain't saying that.
Overall cornerback grade, you finished 6th in the National Football League. All right. Overall, in totality, everything, the overall body of work, you finished 6th. Coverage grade, you finished 4th. You had an 82.1 coverage grade rating. Real good. Remember, the higher you get, the better it is. 82.1. You finished 4th. Only 3 guys had a better grade than you. Interceptions for cornerbacks, you finished 2nd. Only 1 guy had more picks than you. PBUs, you had 15th. You finished 6th. Now, here's where it gets real dicey. Coverage snaps per reception in man coverage. Pat P finished 1st. 36.7 rating. So this basically, let me break this down for all you listeners and viewers checking us out. This means Pat only allowed 1 reception for every 37 snaps in man coverage. So for every 37 snaps in man, he only gave up 1 reception. Get this, the second closest cornerback had a rating of 17.9. So basically, the lower the rating, that's not what you want. You want to be higher. So the second closest player, who was Sauce Gardner, by the way, who we all would agree is the number 1 guy who's going to make first team All-Pro. He was the second closest cornerback to Pat P in regards to receptions given up in man coverage. Sauce Gardner allowed 1 reception for every 17 snaps in man coverage. Think about this. So what we will do, let's go back to the last time Pat P made the All-Pro team as a corner. 2015. he allowed one reception for every 20 snaps in man coverage. His rating at that time was 20.5. So he allowed one reception for every 20 snaps in man. He's allowing one reception for every 30, almost double, basically double. Then when you transition to the rating in zone coverage, he's a do-it-all corner, by the way. He's second with a rating of 51.5. There's only one corner that has a better rating in zone coverage than Pat P. Go back to his All-Pro year in 2015. Zone coverage, rating of 47.1. He finished third. In coverage snaps, Pat P, overall coverage snaps, he's third in the National Football League. In 695 coverage snaps, he graded out the third best corner in the National Football League. So Pat P, in regards to zone coverage, James Bradbury is the only corner that has a better zone coverage rating than you. Pat P, when you hear these numbers, what comes to mind?
Man, first of all, like we talked about in the beginning of the season, I know what it takes to be at the top. I've been there before, so this ain't new to me. Now, having an opportunity to really let it flourish, it just goes to show the body of work that I put in every single offseason. Despite my age, I don't hear nothing about my age no more, to where like I grind and put so much into the game to where, now is, the proof is in the pudding. Like you said, last year was not my best year. In a lot of ways, I don't know what was it, that why I couldn't, be at my best, but that was my main goal coming into this season to, be P2, I can remember texting my boy Gerard, telling him how I was going to be the P2 back in 2015, and look what happened.
Man, you got similar numbers.
Exactly, so
similar numbers.
My whole mindset, my whole focus going through the offseason, training by myself, literally by myself this offseason. I wasn't with anyone this offseason, so just going through that, visualizing everything that was going to happen this year and it's happening. It's just a blessing, man. I thank God, because God did, man. I just thank God for giving me the ability to be, effective, dominant at this age, and at this point of my career.
Listen, these numbers are impressive. Man coverage, 36.7 first. You're only allowing one reception in 36 snaps. And the second closest corner is Sauce Gardner, and he has a grade of 17.9.
Yeah.
That right there is alone. That's basically, we don't need to talk about everything else. We can, but just that alone just tells you how dominant you've been in man coverage. But break it down for us. Break down the success in man coverage and in zone coverage. And they say you have 5 picks in zone coverage, but correct me if I'm wrong. That pick against Josh Allen on that skinny post on Gabriel, was that man or was that zone?
Yeah, we was in quarters on that one.
Quarters, but people got to understand too, though.
It's basically man once they get past 12.
Yeah, that's why most teams run a post, which they call a quarters beater. Yeah, because they know the corner is basically solo dolo. He's by himself, especially number 2 leaves, that safety is gone. So that's why a lot of teams in the red zone, they love to run double posts or scissors.
But what's the number one rule for a corner and number one rule for corners in quarters coverage? Protect the what?
You better stay inside.
And protect the what?
End zone.
The 8 and the 9.
Stay in, because that safety might leave you.
Exactly.
Because if I get a double post, if that number 2 gives me a double post, if I'm your quarter safety, I'm gone. Now you by yourself.
Right.
And when one person leave, the other one's coming right behind them.
No doubt about it.
That double post, quarters beater. So, so break down the success that you've had this season in man coverage and zone coverage. And I'll tell you what I've watched and learned from you this season without giving too much because you still have a lot of football left to be played. But let me hear your definition in regards to the success in man coverage. Well, just explain it to us, your success in man coverage and zone coverage.
I mean, for the most part, you know, I've been a professional locksmith for my entire life. I'm not even talking about in the NFL, since college, since high school, since Little League, since park ball, since street football. So covering a guy, just solely covering a guy, that's super easy for me. Like, I can do that closing my eyes. So that's just something that I take a lot of pride in, because that was always one of my responsibilities growing up. Whoever the best receiver was at the time, Patrick Johnson, go get him. When I got to LSU P2, Patrick Peterson, go get him. You know what I mean? So that part of the game is always going to be easy to me. And now playing, at this point in my career, the game has slowed down tremendously at the line of scrimmage. So it's not much that guys can do to me, at the line of scrimmage to get me off my game, and with me understanding angles, how to cut them off for certain points. I think I play that helps me out a lot in my game. And as far as zone coverage, just having the ability to understand where they can hurt me, understand where my weaknesses is in my when I am playing off, and not being fast. Like, when I'm watching tape, I'm really playing, really slow, to dissect the route, dissect the three-step, understanding splits, things like that. So now being able to have that in my game, now the world and just people are just seeing, like, yeah, I was really good at man-to-man corner, at locking somebody down, but I'm an all-around corner. I can do it all. I'm just not no one scenario guy, no one-sided guy. I can be, hell, if I needed to, I can play nickelback. You know what I mean? That's just the type of player that I am. And just seeing it all come to fruition and being in a fully zoned defense, to a base fully zoned defense, it's just helping me be that much better reacting on the football.
What I've seen from you, Pat P, your game has evolved into an area where we've never seen you go. Because for such a long time, you've been an in-your-face corner.
Right.
Lock and loaded, bump and run, my guy. You go wherever you go, I'm following you. I'm in your hip pocket. But when you play so much bump and run and you become great in doing so, you don't necessarily got to read everything else.
Right.
What I see from you this year, especially because you play a lot of off coverage, you have mastered the ability to put yourself in position to win before the ball is in play.
100%.
What I mean when I say that, listeners and viewers, is that the entire formation tells you a lot about what you can get from your wide receiver.
Yep.
You hear it all the time just from the splits alone, right? But when you find out exactly what is happening around you, you know exactly what you're going to get from the guy who you're covering, based on motion, based on the quarterback drops. You talked about 3-step read, 4-step read. You've done a phenomenal job understanding what you're going to get before the ball is in play. Secondly, you're always square and patient in your pedal. You talked about being patient in your pedal, but square, that's another thing, because when you're square, you have the ability to break on every route that happens in front of you, as we call an intermediate route. Right. When you square, you coming downhill, you have a lot of force, you're using all your speed and quickness to be able to be that one step closer to the pass catcher. Mm-hmm. And secondly, when you get in the flow, one thing I know about Pat P, if Pat P get his hands on a football in the first quarter,
it's going to be a long day.
It's going to be a long day. So if he touched the football in the first quarter, or if he comes up with a nice tackle, something good, a great third down stop in the first quarter, uh-oh.
Hey, it's crazy too, man. People think I be joking. I hope Minnesota got this as well. When I got my when they called me for the PI, which I thought was a horrible call. Mm-hmm. Because Mac, I became a master of this drill, this technique. I just take the charge. It's exactly what I did right here. He said, the ref told me he thought I grabbed him. I said, we don't need to be in the thinking game, man.
No question. Not right now.
I need to see what's going on with your eyes. But anywho, damn, made me lose my train of thought. What the hell I was about to say? Shucks.
You say you master taking charge. Early in the game, they hit you with a PI.
I was about to say something before that. Master taking the charge.
You was about to tell me, based on what I was saying, you said it's funny. You hope Minnesota got this recorded.
Oh, yeah. After I got my pick, after I got my
the PI,
my illegal contact or whatever the ref called on me, I came to the sideline because I was frustrated. On third down, I went and quick jam Henry, the receiver, got him a nice old quick jam, right? So I come over to the sideline, I said, "Watch what I say, Coach. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna play in this game, but I'm about to get me a pick today." So now, from that moment, I had it on my mind because I should have had a pick in that same drive before when he tried me in the cover 2. He just threw it right over my head, right over my fingertips. And I said, "Oh, yeah, the good Lord is with your boy today. If I'm in here if he give me another opportunity before halftime, I'm going to get me a pick." And guess what happened?
You got it.
Man, God is good, man.
You got it. Hey, we were ready to see that on display Sunday.
Yes, sir.
And with that being said, we're going to take care of a few take care of a few bills. My bad. When we come back, let's tap into the Giants playoff preview. But before we go, you guys heard, listen, let's go ahead and spark this buzz around town.
What buzz?
All-pro team. Pat P got to be on somebody's all-pro team this year. I just gave you the numbers. Women lie, men lie. Numbers do not lie. They will never lie. Never lie. Numbers that are earned. We ain't talking about numbers that are just given out. Numbers that are earned. This man earned these numbers. I just gave you down the regular season stats. One of the best to do it and counting in the National Football League. Pat P, we got to get him on one of these all-pro teams.